They thought they could trap him with accusations, but instead, he tore off his mic and walked out. Here's what happened. The studio lights shone brightly, reflecting off the smooth black floor, while cameras stood ready, like silent watchers, their lenses focused to catch every detail. Across a glass table, Elon Musk and Greg Talbot sat facing each other. Both appeared relaxed, but the air between them was tense with something unspoken. Greg, a seasoned TV host known for his sharp questions and left-leaning views, had played this game countless times before. His gray suit was immaculate. His hands were neatly folded on the desk, and his smile was just wide enough to seem warm without feeling genuine. Elon, on the other hand, leaned back slightly in his chair, one ankle resting on his knee, his face unreadable. He was no stranger to interviews. He had done hundreds. But this one felt different. His gut told him that Greg wasn't just interested in Tesla, SpaceX, or his latest business deal. There was something else hidden beneath the polite small talk. As the show's theme music faded, an off-screen announcer's steady voice took over. Tonight, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk sits down with Greg Talbot in an exclusive conversation. No topic is off limits. Stay tuned for a discussion you won't forget. The red recording light blinked on. Greg adjusted his tie and turned to face Elon. The camera rolled, and the voice came in smoothly. Welcome back to the Talbot Report. Tonight we have a guest who hardly needs an introduction. He's transformed the auto industry, launched rockets into space, and is currently at the center of more controversies than we can count. Elon Musk, thanks for being here. Elon gave a slight nod. Thanks for having me, he replied, his voice steady and his posture relaxed. But his eyes were sharp, studying Greg like he was solving an equation, searching for the hidden variables. Greg wasted no time. Let's start with something light, he said, adding a rehearsed chuckle. Twitter, or should I say X. A lot of people think the platform has changed dramatically under your leadership. Some say for the better, others, not so much. Elon smirked a little. Depends who you ask. If you ask people who value free speech, they'll say it's improved. If you ask people who liked censorship, they'll say it's worse. Greg raised an eyebrow. Censorship? That's a strong word. It's the right word, Elon responded firmly. The moment hung in the air before Greg shifted in his seat. All right, but surely you'd agree that free speech doesn't mean allowing hate to spread unchecked? Elon exhaled through his nose, already sensing where this was headed. What you call hate speech, someone else might call a strong opinion. The point is, who gets to decide? A bunch of unelected fact-checkers? Greg smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. So, no regrets on how you've handled things? Not really, Elon replied casually. Mistakes, sure, but regret? No. Twitter was dying when I bought it. Now people actually use it. Greg nodded slowly. Interesting. But let's move on. The conversation shifted smoothly, covering Tesla's latest innovations, Neuralink's ambitions, and even Musk's stance on AI regulation. But something about Greg's tone had changed. The questions felt more calculated, not unusual for an interview like this, but there was a sharpness creeping in, something just beneath the surface. Then came a subtle shift in Greg's demeanor. Small, almost imperceptible, but enough for Musk to catch. The host leaned forward slightly, lacing his fingers together, and his next words carried a different weight. You've built an empire. Elon, no doubt about that. But with great power comes great scrutiny. Elon blinked, unimpressed. That's usually how it works. Greg tilted his head. Then let's address some of that scrutiny, shall we? But Musk had a feeling that this was where things were about to take a turn. The real interview was about to begin. Greg maintained his polished smile, but his eyes had sharpened. The warm pleasantries were over. He tapped a few notes on his tablet before looking up. Elon, you've always had a reputation for pushing boundaries. People admire that. but some say you push them a little too far. Elon didn't flinch. Progress requires risk. Greg nodded as if he agreed. Of course, but let's talk about accountability. He turned to the camera for effect. Your leadership style has been described as brilliant but reckless. Employees from Tesla and SpaceX have spoken about unrealistic deadlines, brutal work hours, and a culture of fear. He shifted his gaze back to Musk. Are they lying? Elon let out a quiet breath. I expect high performance. This isn't a coffee shop. We're building rockets and AI, not flipping burgers. I don't force anyone to work for me. They choose to because they believe in what we're doing. Greg's eyebrows lifted slightly. That's a fair point. But what about the reports of people being fired over minor disagreements? Engineers who say they questioned your decisions and were shown the door the next day? Elon shrugged. If someone isn't aligned with the mission, it's better for both sides to part ways. The mission? They shouldn't be there. No one's entitled to a job just because they've been around a while. Greg pursed his lips as if carefully considering his next move, then leaned forward. All right, let's talk about your stance on AI. Elon's expression barely shifted, but he clearly noticed the change in topic. You've repeatedly warned about the dangers of artificial intelligence. You've even called it an existential threat, and yet you're actively developing AI through xAI, Neuralink, and Tesla's self-driving technology. Isn't that a bit contradictory? Elon gave a half smile. If you're afraid of a flood, do you just hope it never rains? Or do you start building better dams? Greg let the analogy sink in before pressing further. So you believe that controlling AI is the only way to protect humanity from it? I believe that if the wrong people control it, we're in trouble, Elon replied calmly. Greg's lips twitched slightly, as if he had been waiting for that answer. The wrong people? Who are they? Elon's gaze was steady. Governments that prioritize control over innovation, tech companies that put profit above ethics, media outlets that manipulate narratives instead of informing the public. Greg chuckled, shaking his head. So, everyone but you? Elon's expression didn't change, but his fingers drummed lightly against the table, the armrest. Greg's smile widened. See, that's what people find interesting about you. You position yourself as this renegade, this anti-establishment genius, who's here to save the world from bad actors. But at the same time, you're one of the most powerful people on the planet. Some would say that makes you the very thing you claim to fight against. Elon exhaled through his nose. Power isn't the problem. It's who wields it and for what purpose. Greg nodded, seeming to accept the response, but then his smile faded. The next question came slower, more deliberate. Let's talk about your connections. A flicker of something passed through Musk's expression. Greg continued. You've been seen at private events with world leaders, controversial billionaires, and government officials from multiple countries, some of them not exactly known for their human rights records. And yet you speak about free speech and transparency. He tilted his head. Why should people trust that you're not playing both sides?